Hello, I'm Tod Machover, and I'm speaking to you today from the MIT Media Lab in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it's the middle of December, and I realized that Boston and Cambridge, I think, are exactly halfway around the globe from Perth, Australia. And not only are we about as far away as you can be, but the weather's about as different as you can imagine. I'm talking to my friends recently in Perth, and I know that I think it was 102 degrees Fahrenheit there today. I think it's about minus 102 here in Boston. It's very, very cold. So here I am in this cold place, thinking about Perth a great deal, because as you know, I'm working on a new piece for the Perth International Festival called Between the Desert and the Deep Blue Sea, a Perth Symphony, which will be premiered as the last event at the Perth Festival on March 1st, 2014. And as I think you also know, the unusual thing about this piece is that it's a portrait of Perth and of the area around Perth in music and in sound that I'm composing with you, with anybody from Perth and Western Australia who lives there, who's been there, who is from there and is living somewhere else. You're invited to work on the piece with me. I visited Perth at the end of October, beginning of November, spent time meeting people, working with students, meeting young musicians, finding out as much as I could about the city and the surrounding area, recording, talking to other people about recording. And I came back to Boston, started assembling that material, have been in touch via email and blog and internet with people in Perth to keep this process going. And what I wanted to do today is to introduce you to an app called Constellation, which we launched just in the last day or so online, which you can use, and I hope you will use, to help me shape the sonic material for a Perth symphony. So Constellation is this app running here. We designed it here at the MIT Media Lab. And in fact, if I can invite Akito, this is Akito Von Troyer. Akito's a musician and software designer who is doing his doctorate here at the Media Lab. And Akito worked with me to think about the software, and he wrote the whole thing. So he thought about the visuals and wrote the code, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to show him how it works, okay?
Yes.
Cool. So the idea of Constellation is it's an environment where you can listen to, play with, and make your own soundscapes out of recordings that are made in and around Perth. These recordings are made by all kinds of people. I made some, you made some, I'm receiving some all the time. What's great about Akito's software is that we can take these recordings, I can listen to them, select the ones I like best, maybe do some editing, even some sound processing, and then we can feed them all into Akito's software. And his software analyzes all the sounds, it cuts them up into little chunks, and then it arranges them. We call it Constellation because it makes kind of a star pattern on the screen, and it arranges the sounds according to which sounds are closest to each other or farthest away from each other. The neat thing is you can think about close or far away in sound in a variety of different dimensions, and Akito's software allows us to do that. So the app is out there right now called Constellation. You can find it at perth.media.mit.edu, and I'll just show you a little bit about how it works because I want you to go and try it. So when you open it up, you find these dots on the screen. If you look at the top here, you'll see that there are 5 different words. What I did is I thought about what I saw and heard and felt when I was in Perth. I listened to all the sounds I got in, and I decided to divide them into different feelings of Perth. So the one I have right now is called Dry. Those are sounds that were either recorded in the hills, the wheat belt, the desert, or that sounded to me like they were from a dry area. The next one is Wet, which are all sounds that came from the coastline, the ocean, the river, water fountains in different ways, birds and other animals associated with wet areas. Then there's one called City. City, as you can imagine, are sounds that are recorded in town, people, machines, cars. Perth is a relatively quiet city, I found, actually, in a nice way. Even the cars, you hear kind of a gentle hum, but generally you don't hear like huge traffic noise, and that's reflected in these recordings. You don't get like traffic jams. It's kind of a gentle traffic sound. The next one is called Improv. I was lucky enough to meet some fantastic musicians when I was in Perth, all the way from players in the Western Australian Symphony Orchestra to improvising guitarists and laptop musicians and players of didgeridoo and singers. And we had several sessions of bringing musicians together to play music that made us think about Perth. We often started with something like a sound of water or maybe a sound of a didgeridoo and then took that somewhere else. So these improvs are all taken from sessions that we did, and I've selected the parts I like best, and it's kind of like a mosaic. And the last one is called Mix, and Mix is kind of a combination of the different sounds from the other areas that Akito and I liked the most, and we put them into one Constellation palette so you could find them all and play with them together. So let's start on the one that's called Dry. And once Dry is up here, what I can do, if I move the mouse without clicking, nothing happens. But as soon as I click and go to one of the dots, I hear what's there. I bet you know what that sound is too. Those crows drove me crazy when I was there, but they're pretty good. So as I move, the dot gets big and I can hear what's there. If I move slowly, I can hear one sound at a time. The faster I move, the more of these bubbles are activated together, so I get clusters of sound. So I'm going to start slowly. So you see, I can go between concentrating on one sound and having a mass of sounds. If you look at these circles, when I move the cursor here, you see there's a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of these represents the same collection of sounds that are analyzed in a different way. So Akito software takes all the sounds in, it runs a bunch of different processes to find out how loud the sound is or how soft. Does the sound start soft and get loud? What's the shape of the loudness? Is the sound very low? Does it have a lot of high frequencies? Does it have a very strong pitch, or is it very noisy? It tells all of those things. And then we can organize these sounds on each of those dimensions as to whether they're close or not. So now if I click on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, you can see that the colors are different, the geometric patterns are different, but since I'm still in Dry, all the sounds are the same. So I really recommend that if you want to play with this, you try each of the 5 configurations, because you'll discover sounds that were hidden and covered up before, and you'll find associations between sounds that are very, very different in the different ones. So I'll just show you. Let's see, let's do, I think it was number 3. This one's kind of interesting because it has these guys in a line. Let's see what that means. So this one, you can see that by the way it analyzed them, the crows and birds that are kind of like crows, maybe cockatoos, are all together on that line, and things like a didgeridoo or a machine sound are far away. So try each of the 5 in each setting. I'll just show you quickly what some of the others sound like. Here's the one that's called Wet, and as I mentioned, there are a lot of ocean sounds here. same as the other one. In wet, I have 5 different ways of organizing those sounds. Same sounds, but you'll find very, very different things with each one. The next one is called city. Totally different. I spent a Friday evening in Northbridge. Maybe you can find that in here. It's pretty crazy. Same thing, 5 different settings where the sounds are organized differently. The next one is called Improv. These are taken from improvisations with very, very different musicians from different backgrounds who we brought together. This one's a particular favorite of mine. Just. There's some real gems in there to discover. Same thing, 5 different ways of sorting those. And the last one is a mix where a lot of different sounds of Perth are all found in the same palette. You probably heard the flies in there. There are flies hidden everywhere. That was one of the most constant sounds I heard at the end of October when I arrived in Perth. So let me go back to dry a second, and I'll show you what you can do with this besides just playing with the sounds. So once you find a palette that you want to explore, I can actually record my investigation of that set of sounds and the way I like to associate them. The way I do that, I'll make just a little short thing. I go to this pencil. It's called the draw tool, and the pencil allows me to connect these dots and to record the connection. So I'll just do something very short so we can play it back. Now when I draw, it'll play the sounds, but it'll also record the line. Here we go. So now I can play that back exactly what I just did. I go down here, click on the play bar, and it'll do exactly that. Now if I like that, I like it. So let's record it. I go up here to the arrow where I can upload it to the internet. So I can save it there and other people can hear it and comment on it. So I'll just write my name. I'll say Tod1. It'll ask me if I want to upload it. I'll say yes. And now it's uploaded. So now if I go to this collection of scores, I'll find a variety of scores that were just submitted, and there's mine. So there's Tod1, and if I click on it, it'll call up Tod1. I can listen to it again, but I can listen to anybody's Constellation score that was submitted, and I can edit it. So I can listen to somebody's score, I can modify it, I can change the lines, and then I can resave it as my mashed up version. So what I'd love to have all of you do is to go to Constellation. Again, it's at perth.media.mit.edu. Try as many of the different settings of Constellation as you can, or as you want to. Make recordings of soundscapes using these sounds that you really like. Upload the ones that you like the best. Listen to other people's. You can comment on any of them that you want. I'll be listening to all of these, and together, hopefully we can find some fantastic combinations of sounds from Perth that remind us of the city, that remind people far away, like here in Boston, of what Perth is like, and that will become part of this overall composition. So starting now, I invite you and encourage you to go try Constellation, perth.media.mit.edu. You can also, at that same website, find instructions about recording sound from the city. If there's sounds that you don't hear here that you'd like to see included, go record them and upload them to our SoundCloud account to contribute to the project. And keep following perth.media.mit.edu from now all the way until the beginning of March for other activities related to this project and to hear how things are developing. And especially come to the Perth Concert Hall on March 1, 2014 for the final concert of the Perth International Festival to hear Between the Desert and the Deep Blue Sea, a Perth Symphony, which I'm writing, hopefully with your help. Thanks a lot and see you soon in Perth.